The second part of factoring deals with case number 2. And I'm going to bring you back to the screen that we use for case number 1. And I talked about when A equals 1, this is the easier situation. And I did these two examples for you, example 1 and example 2. And I'm going to remind you, when you have a quadratic function in the form ax squared plus bx plus c, the first term is where f comes from. The middle term, the 11x, is where the o and the I create that. And then the plus 24 is where the L part creates that in the word FOIL. So if you recall, our answer to this particular problem was x plus 8 and x plus 3. Well, x times x, that's the first part. And then the 8 times the 3 is the last part. And then when you check your rainbow, the 8x and the 3x added together, when I add those two together, that creates the 11x part. So that's how factoring and foiling fit together. Now we're going to look at case 2. This is the harder of the two situations, when the a value is greater than 1. And the reason it becomes more challenging is because you got to do a lot more trial and error to figure out what your factors are. Now again, we're in the form ax squared plus bx plus c, and I've got two problems for you, example 1 and example 2, that we're going to do together. Now what I just talked about, the first thing I look at is the first term. It says 3x squared. Well, the problem now is the a value is not 1, it's 3, and therefore I need to list the factors of that particular number. In this case, the only ones are 3 and 1. So when I start my factors, one of them has to be 3x and one has to be x, because 3x times x is 3x squared. The second thing I look at is the signs. The last sign is negative. That means these signs are going to be opposite. One's going to be plus and one's going to be minus. However, because of that 3 there, I don't know where the plus and the minus are going to go. So you just need to keep it in mind that we need a plus and a minus, but we need to do a little trial and error here in just a second. The third and last thing I look at are the factors of 6. What numbers multiply together to give you 6? Well, that's 1 and 6 and 2 and 3. And from the prior video, I told you to use the 2 and the 3 first, the ones that are closer together. So I'm going to put the 2 in here and the 3 in here. And sometimes it's just guess unless you can actually see it and figure it out. And remember, our signs are opposite. Well, I know that 3x times x is 3x squared. And I know positive 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. The key is, do I get the middle part? And you'd get that from testing the rainbow. Well, the insides become 2x, and the outsides multiplied together is negative 9x, which together makes negative 7x, and that does not work because I want negative 17. Now, this is why when the a value is not 1, it becomes more challenging, because I also got to deal with the signs. Well, this way and this way, if you remember, that was plus 2x and negative 9x. Well, if I just change the signs around, if I just change the signs and put a minus sign here and a plus sign here, all that's going to do is instead of have negative 7x, it's going to be positive 7x. So I know I can't change the signs. That's not going to do me any good. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to change my numbers around. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the 3 here and the 2 here. Now, does that work? Well, let's try plus and minus. This becomes positive 3x, and this becomes negative 6x. 3x minus 6x. No, that's not going to work either. And it's not going to do me any good to change the signs either, because if I change the signs to minus and plus, now it's negative 3x and positive 6x, still doesn't work. So my numbers 2 and 3 must not work. That must mean I need 1 and 6. So I'm going to erase the numbers, and let's try 6 and 1. Well, insides are negative 6x, the outsides are positive 3x, and if I put those together, that's negative 3x. That's not going to work. So maybe I need to change my numbers around, my 6 and my 1. Let's try that. Put the 1 here and the 6 here. This becomes positive 18x, the outsides, and the insides is negative 1x. Ooh, well, now we're close. That's 17x, but I want negative 17x. Well, that basically means all I got to do now is change my symbols around. I need to make this a minus and this a plus. Now, this is plus 1x, this is minus 18x, which makes negative 17x, and now I have my two factors for my problem. I have now factored it. 3x plus 1 and x minus 6 are my factors and my answers to the problem. Now, I'd like you to pause the video, and I want you to try example number 2, which is over here on the right, 6x squared minus 19x plus 10. All right. Well, I look at this first. Now, the problem is I got a 6 here. That means I could have the numbers 2 and 3, or I could have the numbers 6 and 1. That's going to be challenging. So let's just try the ones that are closest together. I'm going to put a 2x and a 3x here. Now I look at that sign here next. That's positive. It means both signs are the same. So I look at that one and I notice then they're both negative. Well, that helps me out a little bit. Finally, I look at the plus 10. Numbers that times together to give you 10. 2 and 5 and 1 and 10. I'm going to try the two that are closest together. So let's say I put a 2 and a 5 here. Well, now we do our foiling. 2x times 3x is 6x squared. That checks. Negative 2 times negative 5 is positive 10. That checks. Now we got to check the rainbow. And what do we get? We get negative 6x here. Here we get negative 10x. And if I put the two together, that's negative 16x. Nope, that's not right. Well, it's not going to do me good to change the signs since they're both negative. So I'm going to try just flipping the numbers. I'm going to put negative 5 over here, and I'm going to put negative 2 over here. Well, again, 2x and 3x is 6x squared. Negative 5 and negative 2 make negative 10. How about our insides and our outsides? Our inside is negative 15x, and our outside is negative 4x. Ooh, look at that. That's negative 19x. That's the middle, and therefore I've got my two factors to the problem. 2x minus 5 and 3x minus 2 are my factors. And remember, people, these are called factors. The two things that you multiply together to give you the answer.